There's a reason you feel like you're invisible online and like you're shouting into a void where nobody hears you, and it has everything to do with something called the guessing tax. But don't worry, today we're going to fix that because I'm going to show you how to master the art of asking the right questions so you can unlock high-ticket sales. Are you ready to stop guessing what your audience wants and start extracting the exact words that make them buy? Cool. And if you're new here, I'm Sam Ross. I'm an agency owner and creative director, and after a decade in this game, it is incredibly frustrating to watch brilliant founders lose money and get derailed because they think they need to become better writers to sell more. Now, I actually teach copywriting as part of my brand building course, but I'm about to say something completely counterintuitive. If you want sales, especially high-ticket ones, your focus should not be on writing right now. It needs to be on the one specific skill and one extraction method the top 1% of marketers use before they ever write a single word. I'm going to show you what that is and how to use it. And we're also going to cover 4 magic word phrases to build a messaging bank you can literally drop into your marketing that never runs dry. Plus, I'm giving you a specific human DM script that lowers your target audience's guard instantly. And don't worry if you're just starting out or don't have a big list yet. I've got a hack for you called the passive extraction method, so you're covered. Once you master this, you are never going to have to guess what to say ever again. Now, before we get to the magic words, you've got to understand where your ideal client is at with their problem, because people aren't just buying a solution. They're actually buying an escape from a specific symptom they're feeling at that moment. So pretend you're a doctor. If a patient comes into your office, what's the first thing you're going to say? Are you going to start lecturing them about the molecular structure of the influenza virus? No, you're going to ask them what's wrong. And after they list a bunch of symptoms like fever, chills, body aches, you make your diagnosis: the flu. And here's the most important part, so please pay attention to this. They don't actually care about the diagnosis in that moment, for the most part. They care about relieving their symptoms. Now, in my work, I help my clients map out the trigger moment, and this is the exact point in time where your ideal client finally says, enough is enough. I need to figure this out. And in order to find this, you've got to look at their daily suffering, and you've got to bring truthful understanding to the struggle. Now, to be really effective and not just efficient at your job, what's the most important thing that you've got to do? And I'll give you a hint. It's also that number one thing that most successful marketers do first: listen. In his best-selling book, Exactly What to Say, Phil M. Jones talks about level 1 versus level 2 communication. And most marketing fails because it happens at level 1. It just stays there in this clinical, boring, surface level language. It's the stuff entrepreneurs write when they're trying to sound professional and they don't really understand effective persuasion. But your audience doesn't live at level 1. They live at level 2. Level 2 is where it gets good. It's the raw emotional reality of their life. It's the verbatim language people actually use when they're themselves and they're relaxed. And it's the stuff that they say to their spouse or they vent about to their friends, or maybe they even write it in a thread. When you can describe someone's level 2 symptoms better than they can do it for themselves, you build immediate trust. And they assume that if you can describe the pain so accurately, you must have the cure. And the only way to do that well, you gotta listen. You gotta bypass all the noise and the clutter and start being an investigator. And I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that by using the right psychological bridges to get you straight to level 2. All right, so now that you know you're looking for symptoms, you need the actual keys to unlock the doors to your audience's thoughts. And you're gonna do this using the 4 magic word phrases, which also come from Phil's book, Exactly What to Say. I gotta tell you, these are some of the most powerful tools in my kit because these are the things that actually build those psychological bridges I just mentioned. They allow your ideal client to feel safe enough to tell you the messy truth instead of the polite version they give to strangers. Now, before we dive into the first 3, you need to pay close attention to the 4th one. It's a specific psychological hack for herd mentality that makes it socially safe for people to admit their deepest, most frustrating problems. So let's start with the most direct tool for personal connection. The first is what I call the human DM. If you're reaching out to someone or starting a conversation in a group, use the phrase, how open-minded are you? This is pure magic because nobody wants to admit they're closed-minded. Most people pride themselves on being flexible and receptive and cool and open to new ideas. When you lead with this, you aren't pitching. You're inviting them to step into a high-level identity, and that triggers them to share real roadblocks because you've lowered their guard instantly. When you ask someone, what's the biggest thing preventing you from hitting your weight loss goals? First of all, it sounds a little judgy, and then it just puts them on the spot and it makes them feel overwhelmed trying to sift through their entire weight loss journey, trying to come up with a good answer, which is the exact opposite of what you're trying to do. Instead, try asking, how open-minded are you to sharing the one thing that's currently stopping you from achieving your weight loss goals? Suddenly the focus is on their open-mindedness. Now they're not scrambling for an answer, so it relaxes them in the moment. Now they're not talking to a marketer, they're talking to a peer who respects their intellect. The answers you get from this are not going to be generic. They are raw, specific, and often contain the exact symptom language we talked about earlier, and that's what you are looking for. The second phrase is for your automated systems, specifically that first email someone gets after they download a lead magnet or join your list. You want to use the line, I'm not sure if this is for you, but this is the ultimate sales breath remover. Okay, by suggesting the solution might not be a fit, you remove the pressure instantly. You're signaling that you aren't desperate for their money. You don't need the sale. And this makes them incredibly comfortable replying with the truth about what their situation is. When you follow that up with a question about their current struggle, they'll tell you things that they would never put in a formal survey. They'll say things like, I'm just tired of feeling like a fraud, or I'm exhausted from trying to keep up with every new trend. This is the level 2 gold that you need to build your messaging bank. Now, the third phrase is for your post-purchase surveys or deep dive interviews. You want to use the phrase, just imagine. This is a specialized tool to bypass the critical, logical brain. Now, when we ask people, what do you want? They often give us this logical, boring answer. But when you say just imagine, you're extending an invitation. You force them into visualization mode. And then you might ask, just imagine it's 6 months from now, and this problem is completely gone. What does your Tuesday morning look like? And they won't say, oh, I have better operational efficiency. And they'll say something like, I'm freed up. I have more time. I'm actually sitting on my porch drinking coffee without checking my phone every 30 seconds on a Tuesday morning. Then you take those exact words, the porch, the coffee, the silent phone, and you turn them into your future benefits copy. You aren't guessing what to put in your writing anymore. You're just reflecting back to them their own dreams. Finally, we've got the social mirror poll. This is the hack for social media that utilizes the power of the crowd. You want to use the phrase, most people. This gives people psychological permission to admit to deeper, messier problems they usually hide to save face. So maybe on a LinkedIn poll or an Instagram story, you could say something like, most people feel like they're the best kept secret in their industry, while they watch less talented people get all the attention. Is that you? Or have you found a way to break through that noise? By framing the struggle as something most people do, you remove the shame. It's a mirror that makes it safe to be honest, and you'll see the engagement spike because you've normalized the pain. So what do you do if you're entering a new niche or you don't have a large enough list to run a focus group yet? Don't worry about it. In those cases, you use the passive extraction method. You go to the places where the market is already screaming their level 2 answers. I call these the wild gold mines because the data is raw, unfiltered, and completely free. You just have to know where to look and what to ignore. The first gold mine are Amazon reviews. You want to go to the top 5 best-selling books in your specific niche. Now here's the secret. Skip the 5-star reviews. They're usually too polite or written by fans who love everything. Also, you might find some good 1-star reviews, but those are usually just angry rants about shipping delays or broken Kindle formatting, okay? The real wealth is buried in the 3- and 4-star reviews. These are written by people who were invested enough to read the whole book, but felt like something was missing. You're looking for the, I liked it, but statements. These are pure level 2 frustrations, and they will tell you exactly what the current market leaders are failing to deliver. If 3 different people say a book was too theoretical and lacked a step-by-step plan, well, You just found the biggest hook for your next offer. The second mind is the comment section. Scour Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, any of the social media platforms of the big creators and thought leaders your audience already follows. You want to find a relevant post and look for the questions. Look for the shares of struggle. If you capture the exact wording of a question that someone asked that relates to your niche, you just found the perfect headline for your next campaign, post, or landing page. These passive methods will help you step into that detective mindset, looking for the verbatim language people use when they think no one else is marketing to them. You're panning for the gold. You're looking for the patterns of pain that keep coming up. This allows you to stop being a writer and start being an editor of your audience's deepest desires. This way, you can assemble the raw language of their frustration into messaging that feels like it was built custom for them. This is the difference between shouting into the void and speaking directly into their heart. When you mine the wild, you find the truth that people are too shy to say to your face, but are more than happy to type into an anonymous review box at midnight. Now, these aren't just clever techniques. They are bridges that allow you to move from cookie-cutter templates to authentic authority. You're no longer pulling the messaging from your mind or struggling to get the words down. And if you're using AI for your copy, this will move you away from generic, bland writing that screams AI and people can see from a mile away now, and take you to a place of much more powerful persuasion. Next, you're going to take all the raw answers and plug them into a simple R&D spreadsheet. No more guessing what to say in your next ad or email or post. You're just going to look at your list of what the audience actually said and start piecing it together. This is how you start to create marketing that isn't pushy or salesy. When people find you and step into your world, the first thing they should think is, I feel like you're reading my mind. And you achieve that feeling by using their words and how they describe their own symptoms. Otherwise, you pay the guessing tax in wasted ad spend, ignored emails, and hours spent writing copy nobody reads. And that's a heavy price to pay for not knowing your audience's level 2 language when it's right there in plain sight. So now you know the frameworks to stop guessing and start knowing exactly what makes your audience hit that buy button. And your homework is simple. Just pick one magic word phrase, the one that's best suited for your current situation, and try using it in an email or a social post today. Watch how the engagement shifts when you stop pitching and start extracting. Now, if you want to dive deeper, I've put together a brand audit to examine exactly where your messaging is missing the mark. So if you want to click the link below, you can book a free strategy call and we'll look at it together. And I will see you soon.